everything you believed about kindness? The rain hammered down on the cracked pavement of Lagos like 1,000 angry fists. 22-year-old Amara pressed herself against the cold stone wall of a closed shop, her swollen belly visible beneath her torn yellow dress. She was 7 months pregnant and hadn't eaten in 2 days. Her lips were cracked, her eyes hollow, and her feet were bleeding through the holes in her worn sandals. The city moved past her like she didn't exist. Thousands of people rushed by with umbrellas, briefcases, designer handbags. Not one person looked at her. Not one person stopped. She had become invisible. By the way, if this story has already grabbed your attention, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Things are about to get even more intense. Now let's see what happened next on that fateful night. Amara's hands trembled as she tried to cover her belly from the rain. The baby kicked hard, as if protesting the cold and hunger. "I'm sorry, little one," she whispered, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "I'm so sorry I can't give you more." Her story was one of complete betrayal. 6 months ago, she had a home, a family, and a man she thought loved her. His name was Chidi, and he was her cousin's friend. He had smiled at her, told her she was beautiful, promised her the world. Then she got pregnant. Everything changed overnight. Chidi disappeared without a trace. Her family, strict and deeply religious, threw her out onto the streets. Her own mother spat at her feet and called her a disgrace. Her father locked the door and told her never to return. Her siblings watched from the window as she walked away with nothing but the clothes on her back. That was 6 months ago. Since then, Amara had been surviving on the streets of Lagos. She begged for coins, scavenged for food in garbage bins behind restaurants, and slept under bridges or in abandoned buildings. Every day was a battle just to stay alive. Tonight was different, though. Tonight felt worse. The rain was unusually heavy, and her body was weaker than it had ever been. She could feel her strength fading. The baby inside her kicked again, weaker this time. Fear gripped her heart. "Please, God," she whispered into the darkness, "not my baby. Punish me if you must, but please save my baby." Across the street, inside a luxury SUV, sat a man dressed in simple clothes, a worn black t-shirt, faded jeans, and old sneakers. His name was Emeka Okonkwo, though nobody on this street knew that. To the world, Emeka Okonkwo was a billionaire tech mogul who had built the largest telecommunications empire in West Africa. His net worth was estimated at over $3 billion. But tonight, Emeka wasn't dressed like a billionaire. He was dressed like nobody. And that's exactly how he wanted it. For the past 3 months, Emeka had been secretly driving through the poorest neighborhoods of Lagos at night, observing, watching, trying to understand the lives of people who had nothing. He had grown tired of the fake smiles, the empty flattery, the people who only saw his money. He wanted to find real humanity again. His driver, Tunde, sat in the front seat, occasionally glancing back with concern. "Sir, it's getting late. Should we head back?" Emeka didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the girl across the street, the pregnant girl shivering against the wall. Something about her struck him deeply. She wasn't calling out to passers-by or aggressively begging like some others. She was simply enduring, suffering in silence. Then he saw it. Her body suddenly went rigid. Her eyes rolled back. She collapsed onto the wet pavement. "Stop the car!" Emeka shouted. But she didn't know that the man watching her from the shadows would change the rules of the game forever. Emeka burst out of the SUV and ran across the street, ignoring the honking horns and angry shouts from drivers. He dropped to his knees beside Amara's unconscious body. Her lips were blue, her skin ice cold. The baby bump was still, too still. "Call an ambulance, now!" he screamed at Tunde. Tunde fumbled with his phone, his hands shaking. "Sir, the ambulance will take too long in this traffic. We should take her ourselves." Emeka didn't hesitate. He carefully lifted Amara into his arms, she weighed almost nothing, and carried her to the SUV. Tunde opened the back door, and Emeka gently laid her across the seat. Her head rested on his lap as Tunde sped toward the nearest private hospital. "Stay with me," Emeka whispered, brushing wet hair from her face. "Stay with me. You're going to be okay. Your baby is going to be okay." But Amara couldn't hear him. She was trapped in darkness. 20 minutes later, They arrived at St. Nicholas Private Hospital, one of the most expensive medical facilities in Lagos. The emergency team rushed out with a stretcher. Emeka stayed by Amara's side as they wheeled her into the trauma bay. "Sir, you need to wait outside," a nurse said firmly. "No, I'm staying with her." The nurse looked at him, this man in torn jeans and a faded t-shirt, and assumed he was homeless too. "Sir, I must inform you that treatment here is very expensive. If you cannot pay, I'll pay," Emeka said coldly. "Whatever it costs, just save her and the baby." The medical team worked frantically. Amara was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and hypothermic. The baby's heartbeat was weak but present. They started IV fluids, warming blankets, and emergency medications. 2 hours later, a doctor emerged from the treatment room. Emeka jumped to his feet. "She's stable," the doctor said with visible relief. "The baby is stable too. But I must tell you, another hour out there and we would have lost them both. You saved their lives." Emeka felt something break inside him. He hadn't cried in years, but now tears streamed down his face. He didn't even know this girl's name, but somehow her survival mattered more to him than any business deal he'd ever closed. "Can I see her?" he asked. "She's sleeping, but yes, you can sit with her." Emeka entered the private room where Amara lay. She looked peaceful now, color returning to her cheeks. The monitor beside her showed the baby's steady heartbeat. He sat in the chair beside her bed and watched over her through the night. At dawn, Amara's eyes fluttered open. The first thing she saw was the clean white ceiling, then the warm blankets, then the IV in her arm. Panic seized her. "Where am I? What happened?" she gasped, trying to sit up. "Easy, easy," Emeka said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe. You're in a hospital. You collapsed last night." Amara's eyes focused on him for the first time. She saw a man in his mid-30s with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept. "Who are you?" she whispered. "My name is Emeka. I found you on the street." "The baby!" she gasped, her hand flying to her belly. "The baby is fine. Strong heartbeat. You're both going to be okay." Amara began to cry, not from sadness, but from overwhelming relief. "Thank you," she sobbed. "Thank you. I thought we were going to leave this world." Emeka felt that crack in his heart widen. "What's your name?" "Amara." "Amara, that's a beautiful name. It means grace." She nodded, wiping tears from her face. "I don't feel very graceful right now." "You're stronger than you know," Emeka said quietly. Over the next 3 days, Emeka visited Amara every morning and evening. He paid all her medical bills without hesitation, bills that totaled over 2 million naira. He brought her food, books, clean clothes. He sat with her and listened to her story. She told him everything, about Chidi's betrayal, about her family's rejection, about the 6 months of horror on the streets. She told him about the nights she went to sleep wondering if she'd wake up, about the times people spat on her, kicked her, stole from her, about the day she stopped believing anyone cared whether she lived or passed away. Emeka listened without judgment, and something happened that neither of them expected. A connection formed, not romantic, not yet, but something deeper, a recognition of shared humanity. "Why are you doing this?" Amara asked one evening. "You don't know me. Why would you spend so much money on a stranger?" Emeka was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke words he had never spoken to anyone. 20 years ago, my mother was in your position. She was pregnant with me, homeless, abandoned. A stranger saved her life, brought her to a hospital, paid for everything. That stranger gave her a chance, and she took it. She worked 3 jobs, put herself through school, and eventually started a small business. She raised me alone and taught me that wealth means nothing if you don't use it to lift others up. Tears rolled down Amara's cheeks. "Where is your mother now?" "She passed away 5 years ago. Cancer. I would give every naira I have to see her one more time." Amara reached out and took his hand. "She would be so proud of you." Emeka smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "I hope so." But just as hope began to bloom in Amara's heart, the universe had another test waiting in the shadows. On the 4th day, a well-dressed woman in her 50s stormed into Amara's hospital room. Her name was Mrs. Ngozi Okonkwo, Emeka's aunt and the self-appointed matriarch of the Okonkwo family. She had heard through hospital staff about Emeka's mysterious charity case. "Emeka!" "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded, her voice sharp as broken glass. Emeka stood up, his face hardening. "Auntie Ngozi, what are you doing here?" "What am I doing here? The question is, what are you doing here, wasting money on some street girl?" She looked at Amara with pure disgust. "Look at her. She probably got pregnant deliberately to trap some fool into taking care of her." Amara's face burned with shame. She pulled the blanket up to her chin, wishing she could disappear. "That's enough," Emeka said, his voice dangerously quiet. "Enough? I'm just getting started. Do you know what people are saying? That Emeka Okonkwo, the great billionaire, is playing savior to a pregnant beggar. They think she's carrying your child. I don't care what people think. Well, you should. Your reputation affects the entire family, the business, everything your mother built." Mrs. Ngozi pointed a manicured finger at Amara. "This girl is going to ruin you. She'll bleed you dry and disappear. That's what her kind does." "Get out," Emeka said coldly. "What?" "I said get out, now, before I have security remove you." Mrs. Ngozi's eyes widened in shock. Emeka had never spoken to her this way before. "You're making a mistake," she hissed. "Mark my words, that girl will destroy everything you have." She turned and stormed out, her expensive heels clicking sharply against the floor. Amara was shaking. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I never wanted to cause you problems." Emeka sat back down beside her bed. "You have nothing to apologize for. My aunt is a bitter woman who thinks money makes her better than everyone else. Don't let her words touch you." But the damage was done. Amara felt the weight of shame crushing her again. Maybe she was a burden. Maybe she should disappear before she ruined this kind man's life. That night, after Emeka left, Amara made a decision. She would leave the hospital. She would vanish back into the streets where she belonged. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. At 2 a.m, Amara's water broke. Panic seized her as warm fluid soaked the hospital bed. She pressed the call button frantically. Nurses rushed in, followed quickly by the doctor. "She's in labor. Get her to delivery now." Everything happened so fast. Amara was wheeled into the delivery room, her mind spinning. The baby wasn't due for another 6 weeks. It was too early. Something was wrong. "Call Emeka," she gasped between contractions. "Please, call Emeka." Tunde, who had been stationed outside the hospital on Emeka's orders, immediately called his boss. Emeka answered on the first ring. "Sir, it's Amara. She's in labor. The baby is coming." Emeka arrived at the hospital 15 minutes later, still in his pajamas. He burst into the waiting area outside the delivery room. A nurse tried to stop him. "Sir, only family." "I am family," Emeka said with such authority that the nurse stepped aside. For the next 4 hours, Emeka paced outside the delivery room. He prayed to a God he hadn't spoken to in years. He made promises. He bargained. Finally, at 6:37 in the morning, he heard it. A baby's cry. The doctor emerged, smiling tiredly. "Congratulations. It's a girl. 4 pounds, 3 ounces. Small, but healthy. And Amara is doing well." Emeka nearly collapsed with relief. 20 minutes later, he was allowed into the recovery room. Amara lay in bed, exhausted, but glowing. In her arms was the tiniest, most beautiful baby Emeka had ever seen. "Her name is Kioma," Amara whispered. "It means good God." Emeka approached slowly, as if walking on sacred ground. "She's perfect," he breathed. Amara looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "Would you like to hold her?" Emeka's hands trembled as Amara carefully placed the baby in his arms. Little Kioma yawned, her tiny fingers curling around his thumb. Something shifted in Emeka's chest, something profound and irrevocable. In that moment, he made a silent vow. He would protect this child and her mother for the rest of his life. Over the next 2 months, Emeka's involvement in Amara and Kioma's lives deepened. He rented a beautiful apartment for them in a safe neighborhood. He hired a nanny to help Amara with the baby. He made sure they had everything they needed: food, clothes, medical care, security. But he did more than just provide money. He visited them almost every day. He helped change diapers. He walked Kioma around the apartment at 2 a.m. when she wouldn't stop crying. He sat with Amara and talked about her dreams for the future. Slowly, carefully, Amara began to heal, not just physically, but emotionally. For the first time in over a year, she felt safe. She felt valued. She felt human again. And somewhere along the way, something beautiful and unexpected happened. Amara and Emeka fell in love. It wasn't dramatic or sudden, it was quiet, gentle, built on thousands of small moments. The way he looked at her when she sang to Kioma, the way she laughed at his terrible jokes, the way they could sit in comfortable silence and feel completely at peace. One evening, as they sat on the balcony watching the sunset while Kioma slept inside, Emeka took Amara's hand. "I need to tell you something," he said softly. Amara's heart skipped. "What is it?" "I haven't been completely honest with you about who I am." Fear flickered in her eyes. "What do you mean?" Emeka took a deep breath. "My full name is Emeka Okonkwo. I'm the founder and CEO of Okonkwo Telecommunications. I'm extremely wealthy." Amara stared at him, trying to process his words. How wealthy? Billions of naira. She pulled her hand away, confusion and hurt washing over her face. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted you to know me, not my money, not my status, just me. I wanted something real for once in my life." Amara stood up, pacing the balcony. "So all this time you've been pretending?" "No, everything I've shown you is real. The only thing I hid was my bank account." She turned to face him, her eyes searching his. "Why are you telling me now?" "Because I love you, Amara. I love you and Kioma, and I want us to be a family, a real family." The silence stretched between them. Then, slowly, Amara began to cry. "I love you too," she whispered. "I've loved you for weeks now. I just didn't think someone like you could ever love someone like me." Emeka stood and pulled her into his arms. "Someone like you? You're the strongest, bravest, most beautiful person I've ever met. I'm the lucky one." They held each other as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. But she didn't know that her moment of peace was about to be shattered by the cruelest betrayal yet. 3 months later, Emeka proposed. It was a simple, private moment, just him, Amara, and baby Kioma in their apartment. No photographers, no crowds, just love. Amara said yes, but the moment Emeka announced their engagement to his family, all hell broke loose. Mrs. Ngozi Okonkwo led the charge. "Have you lost your mind? You want to marry a street beggar, a girl with another man's child? Do you have any idea what this will do to our family's reputation?" Emeka's cousin, Ada, was even crueler. "She's using you, Emeka. Can't you see? She got pregnant on purpose, threw herself in your path, and now she's trapping you." His uncle, Chief Obi, shook his head sadly. "Your mother would be ashamed." That last comment made Emeka's blood boil. "Don't you dare speak for my mother. She would have loved Amara. She would have recognized her strength." "Strength? She's a charity case," Mrs. Ngozi spat. "Enough," Emeka roared. "I didn't come here for your approval. I came to inform you out of respect. But make no mistake, I'm marrying Amara whether you like it or not. And if you cannot treat her with dignity, you will not be welcome in my life." The family stared at him in shock. Emeka had always been the peacemaker, the diplomatic one. They had never seen him like this. Mrs. Ngozi's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Fine. Marry your beggar. But don't come crying to us when she shows her true colors." Emeka left without another word. But Mrs. Ngozi wasn't finished. If her nephew wouldn't listen to reason, she would expose Amara for the gold digger she believed her to be. She hired a private investigator to dig into Amara's past. She wanted dirt, anything she could use to break them up. 2 weeks later, the investigator returned with a file. Mrs. Ngozi smiled as she flipped through it. "Perfect," she whispered. She called a family meeting without Emeka and presented her findings. "Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to the real Amara Okafor. Did you know that before she was homeless, she was actually living with a man named Chidi Nwosu? Did you know that she got pregnant and he threw her out because the child might not even be his?" The room gasped. Ada leaned forward eagerly. "What do you mean, might not be his?" Mrs. Ngozi's smile widened. "According to multiple witnesses, Amara was seen with several different men during that time. There's no way to know who Kioma's real father is. For all we know, she could be running the same game on Emeka." This was a lie, a complete fabrication, but Mrs. Ngozi had paid the witnesses well. "We need to tell Emeka," Chief Obi said gravely. Oh, we will, Mrs. Ngozi said. But first I think we should confront the girl herself, give her a chance to confess. What they didn't know was that Amara was about to do something that would change everything. The next morning, Mrs. Ngozi, Ada, and Chief Obi showed up unannounced at Amara's apartment. Emeka was at work. Amara opened the door with Kioma in her arms. Her smile faded when she saw who was standing there. "Can I help you?" she asked cautiously. "We need to talk," Mrs. Ngozi said, pushing past her into the apartment. Amara's protective instincts kicked in. She held Kioma closer. "What is this about?" Mrs. Ngozi turned to face her, her expression cold. "It's about the lies you've been telling my nephew." "I haven't lied about anything." "Really?" Ada pulled out a folder and threw photos onto the coffee table. "Then explain these." Amara looked at the photos. They showed her from over a year ago, standing outside various buildings with different men. She recognized some of them. They were friends of her cousin, people from her old neighborhood. "These are just pictures of me with friends. There's nothing." "Friends?" Mrs. Ngozi laughed harshly. "Is that what you call them? We have witness statements saying you were intimate with multiple men, that Kioma could be anyone's child." Amara's face went pale. "That's not true. That's a complete lie." "Is it? Or are you just a clever con artist who saw an opportunity and took it?" Tears began streaming down Amara's face. "How can you say such things? I would never—" "Save your tears. They might work on Emeka, but they don't work on me," Mrs. Ngozi said coldly. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to take the money we're offering, 5 million naira, and you're going to disappear. Leave Lagos, leave Nigeria if you have to, but you will stay away from my nephew." "I won't do that. I love Emeka." "You love his money." "No, I loved him before I even knew he was wealthy." Chief Obi stepped forward, his voice gentler, but no less firm. "Young lady, think about your daughter. Do you really want her growing up in a family that will never accept her, that will always question her legitimacy? Take the money, give her a fresh start somewhere else." Amara looked down at little Kioma, sleeping peacefully in her arms. Her heart was breaking. "I need to talk to Emeka first." "Absolutely not," Mrs. Ngozi snapped. "You will make your decision now." "Then my answer is no, I'm not leaving him." Mrs. Ngozi's expression turned venomous. "Fine, then we'll tell him everything, and when he sees what you really are, he'll throw you out himself, just like Chidi did, just like your family did, because that's what happens to girls like you." Those words hit Amara like physical blows. Every old wound tore open. "Get out," Amara whispered. "What?" "Get out!" Amara screamed, her voice breaking. "Get out of my home!" The three visitors exchanged glances, then turned and left. But as Mrs. Ngozi reached the door, she delivered one final blow. "Emeka will hear about this tonight, and when he does, don't say we didn't give you a chance to leave with dignity." The door slammed shut. Amara collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Kioma woke up and began to cry too. Amara held her daughter close, rocking back and forth. "What am I going to do, baby girl?" she whispered. "What am I going to do?" She was about to find out that sometimes the cruelest lies are the ones that sound like truth. That evening, Emeka came home to find Amara packing. Suitcases lay open on the bed, clothes scattered everywhere. "Amara, what's going on?" Emeka asked, confused. She didn't turn to face him. "I'm leaving." "Leaving? Leaving where?" "Does it matter?" "I'm just going." Emeka grabbed her shoulders gently, turning her to face him. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. "Talk to me. What happened?" "Your family came here today. Your aunt, your cousin, your uncle." Emeka's jaw clenched. "What did they say to you?" "They said—" "They showed me." Amara couldn't get the words out. She collapsed into his arms, crying. "Whatever they said, it's lies. You know that, right?" "They have photos, Emeka, and witness statements. They're saying I was with multiple men before I met you. That Chioma might not even be Chidi's child. That I'm just using you." Emeka's expression darkened. "And you believe them?" "No, but they're going to tell you these things, and eventually you'll start to wonder. You'll start to doubt. And I can't watch you stop loving me. I can't go through that again." Emeka cupped her face in his hands. "Listen to me very carefully. I don't care what they say. I don't care what photos they have or what lies they've manufactured. I know who you are. I know your heart, and nothing they say will ever change how I feel about you." "But what if—" No, what ifs. You and I were a team. Whatever comes, we face it together. Do you understand? Amara searched his eyes and found only fierce, unwavering love. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. Now unpack those bags. She smiled through her tears and nodded. But the villain's plan was far from over. In fact, the worst was yet to come. The next day, Mrs. Ngozi went nuclear. Since Amara wouldn't leave quietly and Emeka wouldn't listen to reason, she would force the issue. She leaked the fabricated story to the press. By noon, it was everywhere. Every gossip blog, every tabloid, every social media platform was buzzing with the scandal. Billionaire Emeka Okonkwo engaged to former sex worker? Gold digger traps Nigeria's most eligible bachelor. Okonkwo's fiancé, the baby daddy nobody knows. The articles were vicious, filled with the doctored photos and false witness testimonies Mrs. Ngozi had manufactured. Amara's face was plastered everywhere, accompanied by the most cruel and humiliating commentary. Emeka's phone exploded with calls from board members, investors, and business partners. His PR team was in full panic mode. "Sir, this is a disaster," his chief PR officer said during an emergency meeting. "Our stock price has already dropped 3%. Investors are nervous. We need to issue a statement immediately." "What kind of statement?" Emeka asked dangerously. "Distancing yourself from the situation, maybe announcing that the engagement is postponed pending investigation of these allegations." "Absolutely not." "Sir, with all due respect, I said no. I will not throw the woman I love to the wolves to save my reputation. If people want to believe lies, that's their problem." His CFO leaned forward. "Emeka, I understand your feelings, but we have shareholders to think about, employees. Thousands of people depend on this company. And they will continue to depend on it. This scandal will blow over. They always do." "Not if you marry her," his PR officer said quietly. Everyone in the room froze. Emeka stood up slowly. "Are you suggesting I abandon my fiancée to protect the company's image?" "I'm suggesting you consider all options. Get out. Sir, I said get out. All of you, meeting over." The executives filed out silently, exchanging worried glances. Emeka sat alone in his office, his head in his hands. For the first time since this nightmare began, doubt crept in. Not doubt about Amara. He trusted her completely. But doubt about whether he was strong enough to withstand the storm that was coming. His phone buzzed. It was a text from Amara. "I saw the news. I'm so sorry. Maybe your family is right. Maybe I should leave." Emeka's doubt evaporated instantly. He called her immediately. "Don't you dare," he said the moment she answered. "Don't you dare let them win. But Emeka, your company, will survive. It's weathered worse, but I won't survive losing you. So please, just hold on a little longer. I promise you the truth will come out." On the other end of the line, Amara was crying again. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll hold on. That's my girl." What Emeka didn't know was that the truth was about to reveal itself in the most unexpected way. That same evening, a young woman named Ifeoma was scrolling through social media when she saw Amara's face plastered across her timeline. She froze. Ifeoma had grown up in the same neighborhood as Amara. They had been friends once, before Amara's family threw her out. Ifeoma knew the truth about what had happened. She read the articles with growing horror. Every word was a lie. She knew for a fact that Amara had only ever been with Chidi. She knew because she had been there that terrible night when Chidi admitted he was abandoning Amara. Ifeoma also knew something else, something explosive. Chidi had bragged to friends that he had deliberately gotten Amara pregnant to win a bet. He had boasted about it, laughing about how naive she had been to believe his lies. And when she got pregnant, he vanished, leaving her to face the consequences alone. Ifeoma had stayed silent back then because she was scared. Chidi was dangerous, with connections to local gangs, but seeing Amara's face now, seeing the lies being told about her, something broke inside Ifeoma. She knew she had to speak up. Ifeoma grabbed her phone and started making calls. She contacted every person who had been present that night when Chidi confessed his scheme. Some refused to talk, too scared of retaliation, but 3 people agreed to go on record. Then Ifeoma did something bold. She called Emeka's office directly. "I have information about Amara Okafor," she told his assistant. "Information that will prove her innocence." Within an hour, Ifeoma was sitting in Emeka's office, along with the 3 witnesses. Emeka's lawyer was present, recording everything. Ifeoma told the truth, all of it. The witnesses corroborated her story. They provided text messages, social media posts, even a video of Chidi bragging about the bet. Emeka listened in absolute silence, his hands clenched into fists. When they finished, he looked at his lawyer. "I want to sue everyone who published those lies. Every blogger, every newspaper, every platform. I want public retractions and apologies, and I want them now." His lawyer nodded. "Consider it done." Emeka turned to Ifeoma. "Why are you doing this? After all this time, why speak up now?" Ifeoma's eyes filled with tears. "Because Amara was my friend, and I should have protected her back then. I can't change the past, but I can help her now." "Thank you," Emeka said simply. "You may have just saved her life." She smiled at the villain with absolute confidence. That smile was the most expensive mistake of the villain's life. 24 hours later, Emeka held a press conference. Every major media outlet in Nigeria was present. Cameras flashed as he stepped up to the podium. "Good afternoon. I'm here today to address the malicious lies that have been spread about my fiancée, Amara Okafor." He presented the evidence methodically, the witness testimonies, the video of Chidi, the text messages, everything. Amara Okafor is not a gold digger. She is not a con artist. She is a survivor. She endured abandonment, homelessness, and near loss of life, yet she never compromised her integrity. The real criminals here are those who fabricated evidence to destroy an innocent woman's reputation. He paused, his eyes scanning the room. "I am announcing today that I will be taking legal action against every media outlet that published these lies without verification. Additionally, I am offering a reward of 10 million naira for information leading to the identification of the person who manufactured the false evidence." The room erupted in questions, but Emeka ignored them all. He stepped away from the podium and left. Within hours, the tide completely turned. The same bloggers and newspapers that had crucified Amara were now falling over themselves to apologize. Public opinion shifted dramatically in her favor. "Poor girl, she's been through so much. That family should be ashamed. Emeka Okonkwo is a real man for standing by her." But the most satisfying moment came 3 days later when the investigator Mrs. Ngozi had hired came forward. Facing a 10 million naira reward, he confessed everything. He provided emails, payment records, and recordings of his conversations with Mrs. Ngozi. He laid bare the entire conspiracy. Emeka's lawyer presented this evidence to the police. Mrs. Ngozi Okonkwo was arrested on charges of defamation, fraud, and conspiracy. When the police came to her mansion to arrest her, she was hosting a ladies' lunch. The humiliation was exquisite and very public. "This is a mistake," she shrieked as they put handcuffs on her wrists. "I'm a respectable member of society. You can't do this to me." But they could, and they did. Ada and Chief Obi, who had participated in the scheme, were also charged. The entire Okonkwo family was plunged into scandal. Emeka felt no satisfaction, only sadness. This was his family after all, but he had warned them. That evening, he went home to Amara. She was sitting on the couch, watching the news coverage with wide eyes. "Is it really over?" she asked when he walked in. "It's over," he confirmed, sitting beside her. She burst into tears, but this time they were tears of relief. "I can't believe you did all that for me. I would do anything for you. Don't you know that by now?" She kissed him then, pouring all her gratitude, love, and hope into that kiss. In her crib nearby, baby Kioma made a soft cooing sound, as if giving her approval. But the story wasn't over yet. There was still one more twist waiting. 2 months later, on a beautiful Saturday morning, Emeka and Amara stood before a small gathering of close friends and true family members. They exchanged vows in a simple but elegant ceremony. Amara wore a stunning white dress that Emeka had custom-made for her. Kioma, now 8 months old, wore a matching flower girl outfit and was held by Ifeoma, who had become Amara's closest friend. "I, Emeka, take you, Amara, to be my wife. I promise to stand by you in all circumstances, to lift you when you fall, and to celebrate with you when you rise. You have taught me what real strength looks like, and I am honored to walk through life beside you." Amara could barely speak through her tears. I, Amara, take you, Emeka, to be my husband. You saw me when I was invisible. You valued me when I had nothing. You loved me when the world told you not to. I promise to spend every day of my life showing you that your faith in me was not misplaced. The officiant smiled. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. As they kissed, the small crowd erupted in applause. It was a moment of pure joy. At the reception, Emeka surprised Amara with an announcement. I know that you've always dreamed of helping other women who are in the position you were once in, he said, taking her hand. So, as my wedding gift to you, I've established the Kioma Foundation. It will provide housing, medical care, job training, and support for homeless pregnant women in Lagos, and I want you to run it. Amara's jaw dropped. What? Emeka, I don't know anything about running a foundation. You know more than anyone else ever could. You've lived it. Who better to help these women than someone who truly understands their pain? Amara threw her arms around his neck, crying happy tears once again. The crowd cheered. But there was one more surprise waiting. This one, not from Emeka. As the reception wound down, a middle-aged woman approached Amara cautiously. She looked nervous, her hands twisting together. Excuse me, are you Amara? She asked softly. Yes. Can I help you? The woman's eyes filled with tears. My name is Grace. Grace Okafor. I'm your mother. Amara froze. The room seemed to spin. What? She whispered. I know I have no right to be here. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But when I saw you on the news, saw everything you'd been through, everything I put you through, Grace broke down sobbing. I'm so sorry, my daughter. I'm so sorry. For a long moment, Amara just stared at this woman who had thrown her out onto the streets while pregnant, the woman who had called her a disgrace, the woman who had chosen reputation over her own child. Every part of her wanted to turn away, to tell her mother that she was too late, that the damage was done. But then she felt Emeka's hand on her shoulder, steady and supporting. She looked down at Kioma, sleeping peacefully in her bassinet, and she remembered all the people who had shown her grace when she didn't deserve it. She remembered the stranger who had saved Emeka's mother all those years ago, the stranger who had given a homeless pregnant woman a chance at life. She held the letter that could destroy another life in her hands. What would you have done in her place if you had the chance to take revenge or forgive? Amara took a deep breath. Come with me, she said quietly, taking her mother's hand. They walked to a quiet corner of the garden. Emeka stayed back, giving them privacy. Why did you come here today? Amara asked. Because I've been living in regret every day for the past 2 years. I listened to your father, to the church elders, to what people would think. And in doing so, I abandoned my own child when she needed me most. Do you have any idea what I went through, what I suffered? No, I can't even imagine. But I watched your press conference. I heard your story. And I realized that I nearly took away from the life of someone extraordinary. I'm not extraordinary. I'm just someone who survived. No, my daughter. You're someone who survived and chose not to become bitter, someone who found love and chose to give it back to the world. That's extraordinary. Amara felt tears rolling down her cheeks. I don't know if I can forgive you. Not yet. It still hurts too much. I understand. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking for a chance to know my grandchild, to be part of your life in whatever way you'll allow. Amara looked back toward the reception, where Emeka was holding Kioma, gently rocking her. She thought about the foundation they were going to build, about all the women they were going to help, about breaking cycles of rejection and shame. I can't promise you anything right now, she said finally, but you can come visit, once a month to start. We'll see how it goes from there. Grace's face lit up with hope. Thank you. Thank you so much. I promise I'll earn your trust back. I hope you do, Mama. I hope you do. They stood there for a moment, mother and daughter, separated by pain but connected by the fragile thread of possibility. And in that moment, Amara made a choice. She chose forgiveness not because her mother deserved it, but because she, Amara, deserved peace. 1 year later, the Kioma Foundation was thriving. They had helped over 200 homeless pregnant women find housing, medical care, and job opportunities. Several of these women now worked at the foundation themselves, having transformed their lives completely. Amara had proven to be a natural leader. Her compassion, combined with Emeka's business acumen and resources, created something truly special. Kioma was now almost 2 years old, a happy toddler who called Emeka Papa and brought joy everywhere she went. Grace kept her promise. She visited regularly, slowly rebuilding her relationship with Amara. It wasn't perfect, and there were still painful moments, but they were healing. As for Mrs. Ngozi, Ada, and Chief Obi, they were convicted and sentenced to community service and fines. More importantly, they lost their standing in society. The very reputation they had tried to protect was destroyed by their own actions. One evening, as Amara and Emeka sat on their balcony watching the sunset, just as they had done so many times before, Amara rested her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked softly. "All the drama, the scandal, everything you had to go through because of me?" Emeka turned to look at her, his eyes full of love. "Not for 1 second. You and Kioma are the best things that ever happened to me. You taught me what really matters in life." "What's that?" "That true wealth isn't measured in money. It's measured in love, in family, in the lives you touch. I had billions of naira, but I was empty inside until I found you." Amara smiled and kissed him gently. From inside the house, they heard Kioma's laughter as Grace played with her. The sound filled Amara's heart with warmth. She had come so far from that rainy night when she collapsed on the street, certain she was going to pass away. She had been saved by a stranger who became her husband. She had been given a second chance at life, and she had taken it. But more than that, she had learned that sometimes the people who seem powerless hold the greatest power of all, the power to change hearts, to inspire generosity, to transform lives through simple acts of courage and grace. As the sun set over Lagos, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple, Amara made a silent promise. She would spend the rest of her life helping others find their second chances. She would be for others what Emeka had been for her, a light in the darkness, a hand reaching down to pull them up. Because that's what love does. It doesn't just save one person, it ripples outward, touching everyone it encounters, creating waves of hope that spread far beyond what we can see. And that, more than any amount of money, is the truest form of wealth. This story teaches us that kindness is never wasted, that judging others by their circumstances rather than their character is the greatest mistake we can make, and that sometimes the people society deems worthless hold within them the power to change the world. True love sees past appearances, past social status, past what others think. It sees the human heart beneath it all, and that's all that matters. We hope you enjoyed this powerful story. Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button under this video if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss more captivating stories just like this one.